Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you a compilation of some of the best choosing beggar stories of 2021. I'm sick of my friend asking for money that she doesn't pay back. Let's jump right in. I'm a 27-year-old female and I have a friend who's a 31-year-old female who has asked me for money several times. To put context into it, I'm a teacher living with my boyfriend with no kids. She is married and has 2 kids. Late in 2019, she calls me and says she is in financial trouble and if I could lend her $1,300 that she could pay me back in 3 months' time. It was the start of the school year and she could not pay for the things her kids needed or even afford food by this point. Kids are my weak point, so I ended up lending her the money, which was all of my savings. Honestly, it was the very first time I lent that much money, so now I know it was a stupid mistake. When she asked for it, she needed it so urgently that I think I didn't give it much thought. 3 months later, she called to tell me that she quit her job because she wanted to start her own business to spend more time with her kids. So it would take her longer to pay me back since she was taking the money and starting her own business. Once again, begged me because she needed to feed her kids. I was angry, but we have been friends for a long time, so I told her to pay me half, and the other half it could take longer for her to pay me back. She actually had a good business idea, but could not manage it properly. She tried to get too big too quickly. She couldn't keep up with the orders, she started selling things she did not physically have in stock, she would use the money for other things, and when her products took longer to get to her customers, they demanded their money back, which she did not have. She had started her business right away in a physical store in a very expensive area, etc. She took her sweet time to pay me back. Meanwhile, she would get her nails done, go out for dinner, go on vacations and everything. Every time I actually needed money from my savings, I had to beg her to give me my money back. She would tell me, "Sure, I will transfer you $200 this afternoon," and then transfer me $20, saying she just missed a zero. Finally, she paid me back a year later. In 2020, her small business was taking off and she was doing well. She called me to ask if I could help her oldest kid, a 9-year-old female, with tutoring for her online school. Since she was falling behind, she would pay me for it. Again, kids were involved and I gave in. Silly me. Spent over 30 hours of tutoring with her that month and got her all caught up with school. And guess what? She did not pay me. She would go on and on about how she would do it next month, but she never did. After this, my boyfriend and I distanced ourselves from them. I got tired of asking her for the money, so I just took it as a life lesson. Last night, she texted me after a long time with the same speech. She is having trouble with her business and has no money. Husband has his own debt and needs me to lend her money. $1,000 will do. I have learned my lesson, so I said, I don't have money to spare right now. She continued with her sob story, but this time I did not cave. That same night, last night, she called me at 2 a.m. She woke me up, of course. She started talking again about how she couldn't sleep since she really needs the money. They could even get evicted and that if I love her kids, I should help her. So, you could imagine I snapped. It was late, but I told her something like, "If you live beyond your means, it is not my flipping problem. I'm not responsible for the well-being of your children, no matter how much I like them. Stop asking me for money and get your awful life together by yourself." I also disinvited her family to my boyfriend's birthday next week. I told her that I am cutting this friendship off for good. I woke up this morning to a text from her husband saying she trusts me the most, and that is why she asks me for money. I had other friends saying I should just say no and not humiliate her like that. Another even said that since I do not have kids, I should look out for those who do. Here are some edits for info. No, I am not from the United States, and yes, I do realize she was just using me for money. Took me way too long, but at least I did. Thank you everyone for the reassurance. About some of our friends, most of them did not know I had already lent her money or that she still owes me some. So after they found out, their opinions about it quickly turned. Fun times being a temporary receptionist. Before I got promoted at my work, I was a temporary receptionist, and most of my time was spent answering questions for people or transferring them to someone else in our office building. But every once in a while, I'd get a person in financial need or looking for a little bit of support. I had a sheet of paper for these folks, and on that sheet of paper were numbers for places like Mercy's Gate, places that help other people in need. I must note that my work itself is not a charity, but we help every once in a while, but we mostly send people over to Mercy's Gate because we partner with them. One day I got a call from this woman who said she was in need but didn't want to accept any of the help that I offered her. The conversation went like this. "Hello, this is Mary. How may I help you?" Yeah, hello. My name is RW, and I heard that I could call you guys if I needed a little bit of help." "What kind of help are you looking for?" "I just need some help financially. I'm about to lose my home, and I just need some help." "I'm very sorry to hear that, RW, but yes, I can help you out a little bit. I can give you Mercy Gate's number, and they should also be able to help support you a little bit. I was actually hoping that you could help me." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we ourselves don't usually help that often, as we don't have the supplies and the funds to do so, which is why we partner with other organizations that do provide help." "But can't you just help me?" "I'm sorry, ma'am, but as I explained before, we unfortunately can't help everybody, which is why we partner with organizations whose purpose is to help other people in need. So basically, you don't give a crap that I'm about to be homeless and you'd let me be homeless." "Ma'am, I'm trying to refer you to Mercy's Gate so you don't become homeless. I'm trying my best to help you." "I already told you that I don't flipping want Mercy's Gate. I want you guys to help me." Now I'm getting a little frustrated. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but Mercy's Gate will honestly be able to help you a lot more than we can." "But I don't flipping want Mercy's Gate." "Ma'am, if you don't mind me asking, why don't you want Mercy's Gate? I'm really trying to understand." "I don't want some cheap-ass flipping food for poor flipping people." "Ma'am, if I do recall, you are struggling financially. Mercy's Gate will help make sure that you get food in your belly. I don't know your employment status and it's none of my business, but perhaps Mercy's Gate will support you long enough so that you can get into a better financial state." I'm done flipping talking to you. Can I talk to someone who actually knows what she's talking about and who actually cares that I'm about to go homeless? I'm kind of confused and kind of irritated. Sure. I transferred her over to one of the other staff members who's in direct contact with Mercy's Gate and often works side by side with them. They basically told this woman the same thing and referred her to Mercy's Gate. About a week later, the same woman actually shows up to our workplace and puts on a big scene and talks about how she's going to report us for breaking COVID restrictions when we weren't, and yada yada. I don't know what ended up happening to the girl. All I know is that my workplace kept referring her to Mercy's Gate for help, and she didn't want it. Body shop tales. Repairs cost too much for my free estimate. Let's jump right in. For context, I work in an auto repair shop in the US. The shop at which I currently work is very busy with a 4.8-star rating on Google, and we average $600,000 to $750,000 per month in sales pre-pandemic. Like most businesses, at the height of the pandemic, we lost work and staff, and we had to implement protocols for the safety of our staff. This story starts around November 2020. At the time, we provided customers with free estimates on any repairs they might want done. Most body shops do. One of the protocols we had implemented for the pandemic was that customers weren't allowed to sit inside the shop. If they needed to use the restroom, we still had to check their temperatures, and they were required to wear face masks. Otherwise, they had to call the front office to drop off a vehicle for repairs or to get an estimate. We had 3 estimators, including myself, at the time, and our receptionist would notify us when a customer called for us. When choosing beggar, let's call her Karen, called in and said she was outside for an estimate, I came out to meet her and found that she was already upset. "I'm here for an estimate. How long is it going to take?" I told her that it would take about 15 minutes, including the photos I would need to take of her vehicle. 4 corners, VIN, damage, mileage. "That's too long. Why can't I sit inside and wait?" I explained that we cannot allow customers inside to just sit because we are still practicing social distancing. "Well, I have other things to do. Can't you just write my estimate and email it to me, please?" I told her that I didn't mind doing that for her, got her contact info, and even gave her a business card I kept in my pocket. Karen had a 2020 Jeep Cherokee that was damaged on the left front side. She said she hit the garage backing out. She firmly stated that she was not going to get repairs done through her insurance. I confirmed her email address, she left, and before I left work that day, I emailed her a copy of the estimate. Replace the front bumper, replace the headlight and mirror, and repair of the front door and fender. All told, I estimated about $3,600 for the repairs. A couple of days later, the receptionist came to my office and said she had a very upset customer who wanted to speak with me. I thought it was odd that she didn't direct the call to our general manager or the assistant, but of course, I took the call. It was Karen. "I was looking over this estimate for my Jeep and your repair cost is way too high." I reviewed the estimate with her on the phone. Parts alone were around $1,000 altogether, and the rest was paint and body labor. "That is an outright lie. I went to another shop and they quoted me $1,400, and they can get the parts for $400. You're clearly price gouging." I told her that I doubted that quote on the parts was accurate, and told her that her estimate would show I wrote for OEM parts straight from the local dealership. Karen obviously didn't care. Long story short, we went back and forth for 40 minutes about the other shop's quote. Karen said several times, "I know your shop is highly recommended online, and I would rather use your shop, but I could get it done cheaper elsewhere." Even though our shop was doing worse than it was before the pandemic, around $300,000 to $400,000 per month, I let Karen know that she had a right to choose that other shop and that I would not be able to bend on our prices. That should have been it, but no, not Karen. Maybe Karen was feeling extra jolly, but a few more days later, she came to the shop and started knocking on the locked shop door. Since we had started locking the main door, our receptionist had dealt with a number of people who knocked on the door, and her response was the same every time. The receptionist walked up to the door, calmly unlocked it from the inside, and used her body to keep the door only ajar. After talking to Karen, the receptionist came to get me to address Karen. I walked out to Karen's still damaged Jeep. "I know you said you won't budge on the price of that estimate, but I need my Jeep fixed ASAP. The other shops I've talked to can't get me in until January, and this is a brand new Jeep looking like this. I need it fixed ASAP, and I can pay $1,400. How soon can y'all take it?" I told Karen that it would cost at least $3,600, and that we would be able to take in her Jeep as soon as the parts arrived at our shop, so her repairs wouldn't take long. "Y'all don't have the parts already here?" I told her no. "So how long does that take? I'm going out of town for Christmas and New Year's, and I want my car to look brand new again." I told her that we would have to paint the bumper, fender, and door, and that it would take 3 days. 3 days? No, that's unreasonable. First you want to charge me more than double what the other guy would, then you don't have the parts, and now you're keeping my brand new car for 3 days. Are you the manager? I told her no, but I would get him for her. My general manager has more years of experience in body shops than I've been alive for. He's dealt with all types of customers and situations. So when I told him about Karen's situation, he calmly asked for a copy of the estimate, put on his face mask and gloves, and went outside to meet her. They talked very quietly for almost another hour. When Karen left, she was clearly furious from the way she slammed her damaged door and peeled out of our parking lot. The general manager told me before I clocked out that day that he confirmed everything I had told Karen already and that he wouldn't discount the repair cost even if she was his own wife. When he told Karen that it would be 3 days of repair time, Karen had demanded a loaner vehicle. The general manager told her that we don't provide loaners and she would have to pay for that out of pocket as well. The general manager said that he told Karen if she didn't want to pay the cost or go through her insurance, there would be nothing further we could do. After that incident, the general manager instituted a new policy of charging an estimate writing fee. It's around the going hourly rate for our labor in our state and serves as a deterrent for future Karens. It's also a great way for customers to pay a deposit for repairs up front. Thankfully, Karen didn't leave us a negative review online anywhere about her experience. Some out-of-pocket repairs are simple, no stress fixes, but this woman, yeesh. I'm glad we didn't take her Jeep. How to get rid of a pool table. My parents bought a move-in ready house that had a pool table in the screen room. None of us really used it. It was a buffet table during Thanksgiving and a gift wrapping station at Christmas, and that's about it. It's a shame too because this was a high-grade pool table, full-sized, super sturdy, and a set of 6 adult cues and 2 children's cues to boot. So my parents decided to give it away. Free pool table and set of 8 cues, free, pickup only. The first message was from a guy who first asked why it was free, refused to believe that they simply didn't want it, then said he'd take it if they deliver it, and finally called them buttholes when they reminded him it was pickup only. The second guy said he would take it, but then looked up how much it would cost to move a pool table, $800 to $1,200 depending on the company, then demanded they deliver it. Third was a guy who said he would take it, said he was getting friends to move it, said he would be there tomorrow, said he was on his way, said he was an hour out, then never showed up, and never messaged again. Luckily, both my parents work from home, so they didn't lose a day of work. The fourth guy said he'd take it if they deliver, was reminded it was pickup only, then complained that it was too expensive to hire pool table movers, to which my parents replied, "That's why it's free." The fifth and sixth guys were repeats of the fourth, the seventh was a repeat of guy 3, and the eighth a repeat of 4, 5, and 6. After the eighth choosing beggar, my parents got fed up and removed the ad. They considered just taking an axe to it and putting the table out for the garbage truck in pieces, but then Mom got an idea. They looked up pool table movers in the area, found a quote for $950, then put a new ad on Craigslist. Pool table and set of 8 cues, $1,200, free delivery. See where this is going? Within a day, a woman messaged about the pool table, haggled the price down to $1,000, and sent the money via Venmo. My parents then proceeded to take that $1,000, hired the pool table movers for $950, gave them the address to send it to, and gave the movers a $50 tip before they left. And that screen room has never looked better. Is your trailer for sale? Fine, I'll take it. Let's jump right in. Okay, first some context. I was selling my dad's camping trailer for him on a website. It was a run-down, water-damaged bumper trailer that, from what we thought at the time, was still worth repairing, but because of the water damage and tires not being good, we were asking $100 that we were not even that firm on, really. With deer season coming up, this was an easy sale since deer hunters, like my dad used to be, tend to buy them to do cheap repairs for the season and a warm sleeping bag and use them to hunt with. So we had several offers in the first day. Mind you, this had a fully working stove with oven and a furnace and a removable porta potty. Those alone are worth over $100. We got some responses. The first one asked to come take a look that day. The second asked if we were still selling it so he could take it, but as we had someone already coming, I said I'm sorry, can't at the moment. Well, while getting ready for the first person, we pulled the trailer out and thought about what it would take to tear it apart and make into a hauling trailer. This is for later in the story. Anyway, the guy comes and looks at it. Like I said, it wasn't in great shape and he offered $50. If it wasn't for the fact that it was the first day and we had by this point 5 others asking to come take a look, I would have jumped on it. My dad was still wondering if he should have taken the offer when I reminded him we had several others interested. Yeah, that makes me sound like the choosing beggar, but remember, this is the first day out. That was half the asking price with 5 other people interested. The first guy wanted to fully restore it and didn't have the time since it was a little more worse for wear than he wanted. Anyway, the first guy says he will think about it and contact us, but let the next person get it if they want it. I was like, okay, so I did. I went to the next person who contacted me and said he was next in line if he was still interested. He said, sure, I'll take it. I honestly thought, just like anyone would, he meant that he wanted to buy it. Nope. Here is the conversation in a nutshell. You're next in line if you're still interested. Sure, if it's available, I'll take it. Okay, it's $100. No. I'll take it. Now I'm confused. I'm not sure what you mean. It's $100. No, it's not worth that. I'll just take it. No, I can't let you just have it. Even with water damage to the camper trailer part, the metal frame itself is worth more than $100. Let alone the stove and furnace if you remove the trailer on top of it, which by this point we were already considering doing ourselves. We debated about not contacting anyone else as this work would make the value go up. Fine, then I don't need it. I'm thinking to myself, okay, not sure why you thought I'd let you just haul it away for free. Keep in mind, this was only the second caller, and it was still on the first day the ad was up online. Anyway, long story short, after the odd conversation with guy number 2 and a third guy who didn't show up, we decided to tear the trailer apart ourselves that weekend. We decided we had the time and just decided to do it and made it into a hauling trailer instead of a camper, and guess what? It sold for $800 the following week, and sadly, the first guy did actually call back and ask to buy it for the $100 the next week, but it was already torn apart and sold. I felt bad for the first guy, but it's good he didn't buy it, and not just because we made $800 on it. The first buyer wanted to fully restore it. While taking it apart to get to the metal frame, we found out that the guy my dad had got it from originally had hidden water damage, so it wouldn't have been good to repair. A choosing beggar brother wants to know where his mask is. To start off, I have a few siblings. One is my older brother, who is the choosing beggar. My dad, at least that's what he used to be called, took my brother in when he was a preteen due to some difficulties. My dad taught my brother plenty of his bad behaviors. Dad was rude, selfish, egotistical, and more of an emotional and verbal abuser. My brother got some parts of him and it shows. Over time, my brother has been doing a bit better, but baby steps. When the pandemic started, I made a bunch of masks, and they don't look bad at all. I even sold a few masks to family members, which they still use, thankfully. Initially, my grandma asked me for some masks, and I made a few for her. Then she asked me to make some for my cousins, uncles, and brother. I made them and sent them over to my grandma to send out. For some reason, my brother didn't get his mask. It might have got lost in the mail, or maybe grandma didn't get a chance to mail it out, but for probably a few months afterwards, my brother would always ask me in a condescending voice, "Where's my mask?" I always told him that either grandma must have it still, or it should have been sent out to him. Even my mom got into the argument, confirming that she did give grandma his mask to be sent out to him. Still, every time, he doesn't stop asking, and it got very annoying. Christmas was coming soon, and I decided to make some more special masks for my siblings. My brother loved a certain turtle group who were ninja fighters back in the day. I asked my mom to help me order a fabric with the franchise printed on it. The fabric came, and I made 2 masks for him. I also got my brother something special to go with his masks. I also made a couple masks for my sister, who had accidentally lost her mask. The mask I made for her was the printed logo of my state football team, which was what my grandma wanted me to make. Christmas came and we were all ready to open our presents. After a couple were opened, I gleefully watched my brother open his. As he pulled the masks out, my mom happily told him that I had made Ninja Turtle masks for him. Once again, he looked me dead in the eye and said, "It's not my football team mask though." At that point, I just gave up. He had sucked away all my happy feelings. I told my brother why I had chosen that specific pattern for him, but I was pretty pissed off. My mom calmed me down. She gently hushed me by patting my back and giving me a knowing look. Luckily for my brother, I had made an extra team mask for myself. In order to stop his endless nagging, I walked back to my room, grabbed the freshly made, never-worn mask, and walked back out and just sat it on his head. My brother took the mask off his head to see it, then nothing. No thank you at all. He did ask in a pretty rude way if I had worn it when I told him it was an extra mask I had made for myself. I told him no, I had just finished it and never worn it. After a few hours, he left. Once he was out of the door, I looked at my mom and quietly said, "He didn't have to be such a jerk about it." She agreed that he should have been much nicer. Actually, this wasn't as bad as he used to be, but it really hurt me that I had gone to such trouble to create something special for him and have him just throw out all my goodwill. To tell the truth, I probably would have made him the team mask to go along with the turtle ones if I had thought of it, but it honestly didn't cross my mind. He's lucky I had an extra for him. That's my recent Choosing Beggar story. I hope it fits. Have a safe holiday and a safer 2021. We have a choosing beggar who needs to send a package. Some background. I worked at Staples from when I was 15 until I went to college. I had this encounter when I was 17. Staples had a shipping center and we used to accept both UPS and USPS packages. I had a woman come to the desk with a shipping label and some router to send back with a box that was clearly breaking apart. Staples had a policy that if someone wants us to ship something that is not packaged, we have to charge a $1 fee to tape it up. I notified this woman and she screamed at me for being an entitled millennial who is not grateful for the people who put me in my position. She asked to speak to the manager, who just shrugged and said, "Don't fight it for $1." So I start to package the box and she is critiquing my ability to put tape on the box. She demands more and more tape, that I double and triple tape the sides of the box, all while making comments about my entitlement and my weight. I was 325 pounds at the time. After more berating, I just put the tape on the counter and said, "Listen, if you do not like my taping skills, then you can gladly put the tape on yourself." She responded with, "Oh, I couldn't possibly know how to use that complicated device," in the most condescending tone, as if I was some dumb employee who would never reach her level. I then just slapped the label on the box and told her if she had issues, she could talk to my manager. This is one of the most saddening experiences I had as an employee at Staples, although I will say this. I just got my first acceptance to graduate school for a PhD in chemistry, and I now weigh about 175 pounds, so the joke is on her, I guess. My ex-classmate jokingly tries to cash in a bet and fails. Let's jump right in. This is kind of a complicated interaction and needs a bit of backstory, but stay with me. Obligatory not on mobile, and English is my first language, so roast me. I met this guy, let's call him Kevin, in an undergrad class during my final year, so 2010-2011. We interacted some during the class and were both active participants and wound up Facebook friends. He was a nice enough guy, but we never hung out outside of class or talked pretty much at all since we finished the course. Looking back at our Facebook chat, he messaged me once in 2012 out of the blue discussing a diagnosis he got. I was in medical school, but that was about it. We followed each other on Instagram as well, but again, very little interaction. I don't know anything about this guy's life currently. Apparently, in 2017, we had a conversation under an Instagram photo he posted. I have no idea why I took the bait, but I'm pretty confrontational, so whatever. Maybe I was having a weird day. Here is the confrontation. Note, I didn't remember this conversation took place, seeing as it was 4 years ago, but he sent it to jog my memory during the conversation where I noted it. Today's conversation was sparked by posting a heavily pregnant mirror selfie on Facebook yesterday, and he commented asking me what phone I had. I replied, a Pixel 2, an innocent enough question, whatever. This interaction took place today on Facebook chat, and it was just so wild I wanted to post about it. Also, I'm on maternity leave and had nothing better to do. Insert a little bit of small talk about my pregnancy and COVID here. Kevin said, so you have a Pixel 2, how's life without a headphone jack? Haha, didn't have much of a choice, did I? No phones have one anymore. Also, I never plug in headphones, so it hasn't been that big of an issue, lol. As you may recall, you were pretty adamant that you would never get a phone without a headphone jack, and I was pretty confident you would cave and get one. Who turned out to be right, Dr. Bezia? I mean, I didn't really have a choice, so you ended up right by default, sir. Now, Dr. Bezia, you most certainly did have a choice. 3 years ago, the Samsung Galaxy still had a headphone jack, and there are still Android phones with it today. But that is neither here nor there. We had a bet and you lost. Yes, but I didn't want a fire hazard on my hands. They weren't allowed on planes, which pre-COVID were a staple in my life. Excuses. Okay, sure. So you owe me $100,000. I'm flexible, I'll take check or Venmo, whatever works better for you. Gonna have to say I don't remember this bet and will not be fulfilling it. Sorry, mate. At this point, he sends me these screenshots from Instagram. Android users be like, in 2016, iPhone 7. No headphone jack. How can Apple get rid of the headphone jack? Apple is so controlling and restrictive. Apple users are sheep, blindly paying ridiculous prices for anything with a shiny logo, no matter how much Apple screws them. 2017, Pixel 2, no headphone jack. Bah, take my money. 2019, Galaxy S10, no headphone jack. Bah, take my money. I'll bet you 100,000 I won't. Dr. Bezia, deal. Definitely not. Dr. Bezia, but you are going to eventually buy an Android phone without a headphone jack, just like a little sheep. Hashtag bah. I wouldn't. Also, you're an Apple fanboy and you're talking about sheep? Mate. Dr. Bezia, Android users are the real sheep. I just sent you the photos. Of something I typed on Instagram 4 years ago. A bet is a bet. Not exactly a binding contract. Also, I think I received the phone as a gift from my brother, so I don't think I even had a say in it. Sorry, mate. Technically, I didn't buy it. Winning on a technicality, hashtag lawyered. Oh, come now, Dr. Bezia, you caved like I knew you would. Nope, I said I would never buy one, and I haven't. Stuck true to my word. Sorry, mate, rules are rules. You still have an iPhone? I get it that this is all in jest, but it was getting to be an awkward conversation. I thought it would end here. But you will eventually have to buy one without a headphone jack. Yes, I still have an iPhone. I don't plan on getting a new phone, but now I would buy one because I realized how inconsequential it is, seeing as I never used a headphone jack anyway. People are allowed to change their minds with new information, but your atcha moment did fall short, seeing as I still have not bought a phone without a headphone jack to date. Just take the L, mate. Okay, but again, I knew you would cave and be an Android sheep, because this always happens with all you Android fanboys. I was right, bah. Okay, I guess. Whatever you want to think. Have a good one. Oh, come now, Dr. Bezia, don't be a sore loser. I'm not a sore loser. I haven't purchased a phone without a headphone jack, so again, your gotcha moment didn't work out, and again, I'm an adult who won't be held hostage by something I posted on Instagram 4 years ago, knowing now that I don't need a headphone jack. My next phone will inevitably not have one. It will not be a momentous occasion for me. You're just taking a joke a bit far, mate. Okay, but then when you do upgrade and get a phone that doesn't have a headphone, I would expect you to honor our bet. Maybe a little, but honestly, I'm not expecting you to pay me $100,000. I'm not insane, lol. Absolutely not. Did you just message me expecting me to give you money? No, I didn't. Okay, well, it's been fun catching up. I genuinely wanted to know how you were doing, especially considering you're going to be a mother. Also, I bet you 100,000, with nothing implied in terms of currency or denomination. So sure, here, I'll send you 100,000 air molecules. Hope they make it to you. This has been an extremely weird interaction. Have a good one. Wishing you the best. Oh, come on, I'm totally pulling your leg. You just don't get my sense of humor. I'm not insane. I seriously don't expect you to give me 100,000 for something we talked about on Instagram years ago. I don't know, maybe buy me a beer or something. Yeah, that's enough weird interactions for the day. Note, please don't start an Android versus Apple thing. I don't care. I just want all the corporations to pay taxes and stop building planned obsolescence into their products. Choosing Beggar wants to live with me for free and chuck out the other person so they can have 2 bedrooms. So I, a 34-year-old female, live in a small 3-bedroom house with my mom. I have some health problems and my mom couldn't afford to live by herself, so it works for the 2 of us. I have the large bedroom as I spend a lot of time in there due to my health, and my mom has one of the box rooms. The other room is another box room, and at the time it just had a bed and wardrobe. My sister had been suffering with mental health problems for a long time. She couldn't work and was going to become homeless. She demanded that she move in with me completely rent-free, and because she couldn't stand to live in just a tiny box room, our mom would have to move out and live with her boyfriend, who she didn't want to live with. My family has always given in to this sister's every demand. However, I have never given in to her unreasonable demands. At this point, my mom was willing to move in with her boyfriend. I told my sister that if she needed to move into my house for support, then she absolutely could, but I could not afford to cover all the bills and mortgage for more than a month, so she would either have to pay 50% of expenses or our mom would continue to live there. Side note, I hated living with my sister growing up. She was filthy, never cleaned up after herself, and played loud music until the early hours. So me agreeing for her to live with us at all was actually huge for me. My sister had a massive go at me, saying I only cared about money and I was a terrible person. She tried to get my mom to convince me to let her move in rent-free for as long as she wanted. I did not give in. My sister then cut me out of her life for the best part of a year, blocked me on all social media and phone apps. Having this break from her made me realize how much stress she was adding to my life, and now I have no relationship with her anymore, but it is my choice. I edited this to add, my sister has had treatment for her mental health multiple times. It was more a case of long-term management of mental health condition, rather than one that was undiagnosed with no support or treatment. In the end, my sister didn't become homeless. She actually had many options available to her, but none of them met her tough standards. Choosing beggars who need a ride but have expensive taste in cars. Let's jump right in. This happened at the worst time of our lives. Our 20-year-old son had died. This story is what happened the day we came home from the funeral. We are flying home after our son's funeral, and my husband's sisters, Millie and Mary, accompany us and are coming to a memorial service the next day. On the flight, one of the sisters, I don't remember which, tells my husband that they don't have a rental car reserved. My husband says, "Sorry, can't help you. We are getting picked up by our neighbor." He tells them they can use his corporate discount at XYZ Car Rental and get a great deal. Problem solved. Not a chance. After we land, we are waiting for all the luggage. We had 2 bags for the 4 of us, and they had 8 for 3 people. Obviously, we had our luggage long before they even had half of their luggage. Our ride shows up and we tell Millie, Mary, and nephew to call us when they get settled at the hotel. We made reservations for them near our home and close to the church where the service will be held. Note, they didn't want to stay at our house because we didn't have a pool, and they were treating this as a mini vacation. Hours go by and we haven't heard from anyone. We call, we text, we call mom, but nothing but radio silence from the terrible trio. 4 hours later, they finally call my husband. We find out they are not in the hotel we arranged, which was an extended stay place with in-room kitchenettes and an outdoor pool. It was July. They are at a freaking 5-star hotel, about 45 minutes away. When my husband asks what happened, Millie tells them the lines were too long at the car rentals, but the limo rentals had no one in line, so we took a limo, and the limo driver was so nice. He told us he could take us to a better hotel, one with an indoor pool and room service. So that's where they went, stuck at a really nice hotel, still with no car. I suggest to my husband, after he calmed down, that his sisters could just use my car. We wouldn't really need it for the next few days. My husband calls his sister back and tells her that I will allow them to use my car as long as no one smokes in it. This is a hard rule with me, and they agree. We drive to the hotel and my husband, who is still fuming, says just drop the keys at the desk for them and we are out of here. So I walk in with my car keys, go to the front desk, and tell them that I am just dropping off keys for Millie and Mary, and could I use an envelope. As I am writing down where the car is parked, Millie and Mary walk up to the front desk, so I just hand over my keys, tell them where the car is, and turn to leave. The girls followed me out to the parking lot, said they wanted to say hi to my husband and ask if we wanted to go out on the town tonight and do it up right. My husband was parked next to my car, small 4-door sedan, in his new BMW. When they looked at the keys and saw they weren't to the BMW, they lost their fudge. Millie starts, "We need the bigger car, we have more stuff." Mary complains that the sedan would be too small for nephew, big boy, and she would feel better in the Beamer. My husband barely makes eye contact with anyone, tells me to get in the car, we've got arrangements to make, and off we go. The girls call mom, of course, and complain to anyone who would listen, but they didn't get to drive the Beamer. Oh yeah, they were 45 minutes late to the memorial, dressed in tank tops, cut-off shorts, and flip-flops. And the kicker? Millie and nephew are smoking as they get out of my car. Choosing beggar that anyone would be lucky to date. So I was taking a nice drive with the dog, just listening to the radio. I'm a woman in my early 20s in case anyone wants to know. On the radio station, they started this new segment called Other People's Problems. It's the first time I heard them mentioning it, so I had no idea what it was about. That's when one girl calls in. I'm like, okay, she's gonna share her problems, and maybe we'll all laugh about it if it's something silly, or maybe it's something people can all relate to. Nope. Apparently, it's a segment where the radio show hosts try to give strangers advice on their problems, then other listeners call in to add their 2 cents. No idea whose idea this was, but not their best moment. Why these radio show hosts are forced to listen to other people's problems and give them advice on a daily basis is beyond me. Isn't that a therapist's job? I think they canceled the segment soon after, for good reason. Anyway, this woman, Choosing Beggar, calls in. Hi, so I met this guy online and we decided to go on a date, right? I got ready, put on my makeup, take a shower, get all dressed up and head out, right? So then I meet him for our date. During our date, he barely talked and was so awkward and was not at all like he said he was. It was just so awful, so awful. So I'm like, ugh. Like, I wasted so much time meeting this guy and put so much effort into getting ready and everything. I sent him a request for him to pay me $20 for my troubles, like for gas money and for my time and stuff. What do you guys think? I should get compensation for this, right? And I'm thinking this girl cannot be serious. The radio show hosts were visibly, or hearingly, pretty lost for words. The female host was trying her best to sound neutral about the whole thing, but also trying to act in a sociably acceptable way, like all radio show hosts. So the female host said something along the lines of, yeah, I mean, I've been on a handful of pretty awful dates myself, but I never considered this before. But now I'm thinking, why haven't I never thought of this before? I would say go for it, girl. You could tell she was saying all this just to remain socially pleasant. The male host was not as compliant. Honestly, what if he promised to pay you back when you guys meet again but doesn't, and then you just lose even more money? I mean, I'd say go for it, I guess, just to see what happens. Did he pay for the date? No! We paid for our own meal type of thing. He didn't even pay for my meal. Oh, you could practically hear his brain cells yelling, this girl is flipping insane. So you want him to pay you because you had a bad date? Choosing Beggar in her super squeaky, annoying voice. Yeah, for my gas and my time, you know? And then one of them says something like, well, let's talk about this again after this song by this artist. Insert SpongeBob's a few moments later. So after the song plays, a few different women had called in to give their opinions on the matter, everyone saying she was absolutely crazy for asking some guy to pay her because the date wasn't great. I was glad to see that my hometown wasn't full of crazy choosing beggars. I wanted to call the radio to give my opinion on this woman's problem because it was just so incredibly ridiculous. I wanted to say something, but I didn't have my phone on me. With this woman's logic, does that mean anytime she goes anywhere and she doesn't enjoy herself, she will ask them to pay her for her time? If she goes out to a restaurant and doesn't completely enjoy her meal, will she demand that her restaurant pays for her time? She shouldn't be expecting anything from this guy, no matter how awful the date was, which, by her description, really wasn't that bad at all. So, the choosing beggar lady from my hometown, get over yourself and get a life. Now, am I the only one who's thinking, maybe this guy didn't have that great a time also? Perhaps she should be paying him. We have a choosing beggar once again showing the negotiating power of exposure. Your art is so darn cute. Can you draw me as an anime character, please? Oh, thank you. My commissions are full right now, though. Commission means I have to pay? Yes, I don't take free art requests. But you only have 1,500 followers. Laugh my butt off. Why are you charging for a drawing? I have more followers than you. I can use it as my DP, then credit you, like a shout out. My guy, even if I have only 5 followers, I won't draw for free. Not for free, I can advertise for you. Yeah, sorry, I'll pass. Have a nice day. What the hell? Then enjoy being a starving artist, sellout. You're gonna go nowhere. Laugh my butt off. A choosing beggar wants extra days off, but still thinks he should be paid for them. Let's jump right in. I work in an office, and this happened a few days before Christmas break started. As parents, and even just as young working adults, we all want to get our Christmas vacation time to relax. My company gives everyone a bonus 3 vacation days every Christmas holiday, on top of the 3 weeks we get per year. It's very kind of them to do that for us. There are 3 characters, me, my boss, and the choosing beggar, who I will call Choosing Beggar. So, Choosing Beggar is the type of guy who doesn't care much about anything except money. He's constantly asking for raises even though his work is crap, never brings any food to the party when we host special occasions, takes more than his share when coworkers bring in snacks and goodies, that kind of a person. Another thing is that he was always taking days off. He blew all of his 3 weeks worth of vacation days back in February, and nowadays when he takes days off, he just doesn't get paid. This still makes him angry, especially when he comes back to a lot of work needing to be done. This Christmas holiday, Choosing Beggar got especially snotty about Christmas vacation. He constantly talked to my boss about the Christmas vacation and asked everyone else what they were going to do on theirs. Not really against the rules or anything, this was just a little uncomfortable. So one day I was walking to the little kitchen we've got in our office, and I walked past my boss's office and I heard, "I don't want 3 days, I want all the days off." It was Choosing Beggar's voice. I knew he was probably chewing my boss out for more vacation days, and it wasn't really my business, so I just walked off. Well, a few hours later, it was everyone's business. Choosing Beggar kept walking up to people and complaining about his vacation. Everyone else had saved their vacation days, especially for this time of year, and when Choosing Beggar heard they had enough to take an entire week off, he didn't care that they'd saved their vacation days. He marched to my boss's office and started demanding more vacation days. I think in the end, my boss just told him, "Take the days off if you want," because the office was a lot quieter after that. Fast forward to this Monday. So Choosing Beggar came back to work after leaving the office for 2 weeks, and he looked really mad. I knew that my boss had emailed everyone their paychecks over the holidays, so I was guessing it had something to do with that. My boss's office is just a few doors down, and if you yell, everyone can hear you, which was why the entire office heard their conversation. It went like this: "Dude, you owe me money. I'm gonna sue you for not paying me." "Choosing Beggar, I already mailed you your check." "You mailed me half. You're trying to stiff me." "I paid you everything for all the time you've worked." "No, I calculated it all, and it's missing roughly 4 months of pay." "You took a lot of days off this year. Since you took the days off, I didn't pay you. For the holiday season, I paid you half for every single day you took off, and I wasn't even supposed to do that. You actually got an extra week of paid vacation days. That's privilege." "Well, it's not enough. That extra 4 months had better be in my account by next week, or I'm reporting you." What happened next was something pretty shocking. By now, everyone's heads were poking out of their offices, listening in, and who could blame them? To everyone's surprise, my boss didn't fire the guy. He just said, "I don't owe you money for time you haven't worked. If you want, I'll take out that extra week's pay." Choosing Beggar stormed out of my boss's office, ignored everyone watching him, and left. I haven't seen him since, and I'm not sure if he's taking more vacation days or finding a new job. My boss said he hadn't officially quit, but we're still waiting to see. Here's an update, the part you've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please. Today, Choosing Beggar came back to the office looking pleased with himself. I was headed to the washroom and he stopped and grabbed my hand and said, "Guess who is here to pick up his 4 months paycheck?" Really smugly. I figured my boss had something up his sleeve, or honestly, he better have. So I forgot all about my washroom break and went back to my office and pretended to do some work. The conversation between my boss and Choosing Beggar was pretty long. Long story short, it started out friendly. Then 4 minutes into the conversation, Choosing Beggar asks for his paycheck. My boss says, "You had some nerve coming over here to ask for that paycheck. You want vacations? You'll get vacations. You can leave now. Go anywhere you want. I don't care. You're fired." Honestly, the look on the guy's face was priceless. One of my coworkers had videotaped the thing and sent it to us. Best day of my life, because even though I've got a bit more work to do now, there's no Choosing Beggar in the office. After pulling together to give a Choosing Beggar family a Christmas, just bathe in the glow of their appreciation. Right. So my oldest daughter and her 2 sons came to my house yesterday for Christmas. F you, C19. My next oldest takes the dogs for their walk, and older sister joins. Upon returning, they both look ready to cry. Apparently, they ran into 2 of the 5 kids that live around the corner with their piece of crap parents. These 2 kids are 8 and 10. Long story short, they are sad and tell my daughters that they are not celebrating Christmas this year because their father lost his job a few weeks back. I've offered to give this man a job, but like I said, piece of crap. And they have no money. Enter the wife, who hears the story, and now there are 6 watery eyeballs beaming my orders into my brain. Okay, we've got this. The wife and I go upstairs to discuss some things, and within minutes, all 3 of our girls are standing at our office door with cash in hand, demanding to help give these kids at least something to wake up to. Hell yeah, we raised them right. Well, except the whole teen pregnancy thing our oldest managed to pull off, but I digress. So what's the plan, I ask? It doesn't take long to figure out that with the time we have to pull this off, plus my hatred for crowds and strangers in general, that Walmart would more than work. One stop. I'm sure they'll have a bunch of registers open, looking at you 7 closed registers, and we'll get in and out in no time. Yeah, that didn't happen. So we eventually get the flip out of there, go home, and commence wrapping. Mission partially accomplished. I walk over to talk to the parents who knew our intentions and didn't care to join us on our trip. We devise a plan to bring everything over late last night, and of course, their kids were still running wild. Like, really? You knew what we were doing. Cut to this morning at 7:45. Not 8:30, not 9, 7:45. Supermom knock on the door. Oh, hey, I was just outside smoking a cigarette and wanted to ask you a question. This woman looked me dead in the eye and asked if we forgot something. Apparently, we forgot to get her and her husband's gifts to swap. I guess she didn't see me about to stroke out because she followed that up with, and I can show you this on Ring Doorbell video if you don't believe it, did you happen to look for a Nintendo Switch or a PlayStation 5? And that's when I died and reincarnated into my present dumbfounded form. I don't know exactly how the wife handled her after I walked back in the house, and I don't care. Flip her and him. The nerve of some people. Spoiled and jobless brother threatens me. In my country, it's usual that if the father leaves, the oldest male sibling takes care of the family. It's beyond unfair, and yet society still applauds it. My mother-in-law is sick, real bad, cancer sick. We, both my significant other and me, provided her with everything we could so that she would not have to worry. But she still has one big worry, her youngest son. He is a jobless, kept little brat of 26 years. That's right, 26. In 11 years, I only saw him work once, and it wasn't an achievement. His uncle gave him a job at his store, and the little brat quit a few weeks later. My mother-in-law worsened. She is dying. Now she has started living with us, and my now angry significant other decided to cut off financing his brother. The little rat went nuclear, complaining about it non-stop, and my narc father-in-law supported him, calling me names. He wants my mother-in-law's house and sees my rat brother-in-law as an ally. They both see me as a threat as I'm very protective of my mother-in-law. Then this little rat yelled at me, "I could have you expelled from my house." His, like as if by being the brother he owns the damn property. This was where my significant other was supposed to jump in, serving justice and tying up the story with a satisfying ending, but he didn't. My soon-to-be ex didn't even defend me because he is afraid of confrontation. Worse, now that the little rat finally realizes that he won't have an easy source of income soon, he has suddenly become worried about his mother. After weeks where he did not visit once, he just asked my significant other if he could live with us so that he can take care of her at night. My stupid significant other fell for the trap, and now the little rat lives with us, eats free food, uses my internet and my electricity and my water. I pay for the damn services. I'm moving out, obviously. The choosing beggar won this one. I'll still visit my mother-in-law as I love her and want to be with her, but my significant other has now lost me. I can do better. I prefer to move out during the pandemic than be yelled at in my own home. This is John from /bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to see more of them, then hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.